Chapter 100. Beautiful figure under the umbrella 1. After checking the surroundings, Xu Qing lowered his head and picked up the middle-aged cultivator's blood-stained bag. He then scattered the corpse-destroying powder on the corpse. Under the washing of the rain, the mangled corpse that had its flesh and blood crumbling turned into blood water that fused with the accumulated rain on the ground. After doing this, Xu Qing returned to the magic boat and sat cross-legged in the cabin. He opened the other party's pocket and frowned after sweeping through it. Other than some miscellaneous items, there were no spirit stones or cultivation resources in this pocket. He didn't have a magic boat either. There was only a blood-colored jade slit and an identity token. However, as this person died, the identity token lost its luster. Xu Qing couldn't see the exact number of contribution points inside and couldn't transfer them. This item required one to take the initiative. His items should have been placed elsewhere. Xu Qing sighed. Previously, when he attacked, he was used to killing. It was very difficult for the other party to transfer his contribution points over. Next time, if there's a chance, I have to heavily injure them first. Xu Qing thought about it and still felt that this wasn't safe. Hence, he picked up the blood-colored jade slip and after checking it, his eyes suddenly lit up. Wanted. This wasn't a normal wanted jade slip. It was more like a private release. There was a series of character information inside. They were all disciples of the 7 Blood Eyes and the price was even marked at the back. One of them was labeled with Xu Qing's name and even pointed out his nickname in the scavenger count. The price at the back was 50 spirit stones. To Diamond Sex Ancestor. A cold glint flashed in Xu Qing's eyes. To be able to know his information and offer a reward of 50 spirit stones, the person could only be the Diamond Sex Ancestor. Clearly, the other party had already found his traces and found information about him in the 7 Blood Eyes. After all, although Adler City was a branch of the 7 Blood Eyes, the Diamond Sect also had connections in that area. It wasn't too difficult to find them, for the Diamond Sex Ancestor to know this information so quickly. It means that he has a certain amount of connections in the 7 Blood Eyes. However, due to the rules of the 7 Blood Eyes, he didn't dare to do it himself, so he issued a bounty. Xu Qing pondered and looked at the blood-colored jade slip. After some manipulation, he simply accepted the mission to kill himself. I have to hurry up and cultivate. Then, I have to kill the Diamond Sex Ancestor as soon as possible. In the blink of an eye, several days passed. This rain lasted for 4 days. On the 3rd day, it turned into a huge storm, raising huge waves that seemed to want to sweep through the entire harbor. However, under the suppression of the main city's array formation, no matter how astonishing the storm was, the harbor was like a boulder and didn't move at all. On the morning of the 5th day, the storm that couldn't wreak havoc reluctantly chose to retreat, and the wind and rain gradually lessened. Xu Qing lifted his head and looked at the sky outside. Although it was early in the morning, the sky was gray and filled with oppression. He tittied up his medicinal pills and walked out of the magic boat. Just as he stepped onto the shore, the stench of the sea filled the air in the wine and rain outside. There was also a faint blood intent mixed in, faintly discernible. Although a storm had been brewing in the past 4 days, to the homicide department, it didn't matter if it was rain or shine. However, apart from searching for clues about Night Dove, there was another job every day. That was to capture criminals. In the 7 Blood Eyes, every time a storm arrived, due to the harsh weather and the shutdown of the various departments, coupled with the fact that most cultivators didn't go out, the plundering and killing of each other in the dark would skyrocket. In just 4 days, according to the statistics obtained by the 7th Peaks Homicide Department, there were a total of more than 80 disciples who died in the port area. Among them, 7 disciples of the homicide department died. As for the number of deaths in the other 6 districts, outsiders didn't know, but it was obvious that it couldn't be much less. In a storm, it was very difficult to find any clues. Moreover, such matters aren't considered much in the 7 Blood Eyes and wouldn't attract much attention. The homicide department was also used to it and only investigated on the surface. Even though an old member of Team 6 had died, no one asked about it. Over the past few days, Xu Qing had also found an opportunity to ask the captain about the old man from the inn on Panquin Road. He was told that the other party wasn't a human and had used his relationship with the first peak to obtain the right to stay in the main city. It was usually peaceful, As for the hidden filth in the inn, on account of the first peak, as long as they didn't cross the line, the homicide department wouldn't care much. Because of this, Xu Qing knew that the human race wasn't the only race in this world. There were also many non-human races. However, he had only seen the old man from the inn once, so he kept this matter in his heart. At that moment, after he went to the police station to pick his targets, Xu Qing held an umbrella and walked on the streets. He planned to make a trip to the medicine shop and sell the white pills he had refined these few days in exchange for more medicinal herbs. It was also because he had a large number of white pills on him that Xu Qing's vigilance became even stronger. Perhaps it was because the rain had lessened, but there were more people in the city today than a few days ago. Under Xu Qing's vigilance, not long later, he arrived at the medicinal shop he often went to. There weren't many people in the shop, but Xu Qing saw a familiar figure. It was Zhou Qingpeng, who had entered the sect in the same batch as him. Zhou Qingpeng also saw Xu Qing. He hesitated for a moment, but didn't recognize him immediately. He only felt that the person in front of him was a little familiar. After all, Xu Qing was covered in dirty scavenger clothes during the test that day. Xu Qing didn't say anything. The old shopkeeper at the side smiled when he saw him enter. He had a deep impression of Xu Qing. After all, he wasn't a disciple of the second peak, but he knew so much about medicinal herbs. That was rare. You came at the right time. I have something good here today. The shopkeeper smiled and took out a secret leather bag from behind him. After opening it, 5 dried-up blue insect corpses were revealed.